The encounter. A mysterious jungle. In the dense, alien jungle of Zeta Prime, the air was thick with humidity and the buzzing of exotic insects. Caleb Richardson, a seasoned ex-military mercenary, had been navigating this treacherous terrain for weeks. The jungle was a labyrinth of vines, towering trees, and hidden dangers. Each step forward required caution and skill. Caleb had taken on a mission from the Zindi government to track down and eliminate Real, a rogue assassin. The Zindi, known for their treachery, had betrayed their human allies in the past, but Caleb needed the credits. His journey was filled with near misses and deadly traps, a testament to Real's expertise as a killer. The deadly encounter. Caleb's senses were razor-sharp as he advanced, his mind focused on the mission. A snapping twig behind him was the only warning he got before Rael attacked. They crashed to the ground in a whirlwind of slashing knives and flying fists. Rael was a ghost in the shadows, her blade flashing dangerously close to Caleb's throat. He fought back with all his might, using his military training to gain the upper hand. With a fierce headbutt, Caleb managed to disarm Real, but she retaliated by throwing dirt into his eyes, momentarily blinding him. The struggle continued, a dance of life and death, until Caleb hyperextended Real's elbow, dislocating it and causing her knife to fall. The desperate struggle. Real was relentless, even with a dislocated arm. She hurled herself at Caleb with a grenade in hand, intending to end both their lives. Caleb wrestled the grenade from her grip and threw it away, the explosion sending debris raining down around them. Caleb pressed his forearm against Real's throat, trying to subdue her. But Real, feigning unconsciousness, used the opportunity to smash her forehead into Caleb's face, disorienting him. She vanished into the dense jungle, leaving Caleb to chase after her, determined not to let his target escape. The chase. The cliffside confrontation. Caleb tracked Real's blood trail to a sheer cliff edge, where he saw her slip into the raging river below. He sighted down his pulse rifle and fired, striking Real just as she was swept against the rocks. Her body was flung onto the riverbank by the force of the shot. Caleb carefully made his way down the cliffside, pulse rifle ready, knowing that Real was a cunning and deadly adversary. The riverbank was treacherous, but he finally reached her, finding her barely conscious and severely wounded. Into the cave. Real's trail led into a dark cave, her blood marking the way. Caleb, rifle at the ready, advanced into the cavern. The narrow passage opened into a vast grotto, illuminated by the glow of a subterranean river. The beauty of the cave was shattered when Real attacked again, using the environment to her advantage. Their battle resumed, a brutal exchange of blows. Rael, despite her injuries, was a formidable opponent, her speed and strength nearly overwhelming Caleb. The fight took them into the glowing pools of the underground river, where Caleb finally managed to choke Real into unconsciousness. The capture. With Rael finally subdued, Caleb bound her wrists and ankles with Durasteel zip ties. He hoisted her over his shoulder and began the grueling trek back to his ship, the Foxhound. The journey through the jungle was arduous, each step a test of Caleb's endurance. The sun was setting by the time he reached the clearing where his ship awaited. He boarded the Foxhound, securing Rael in the cargo hold before collapsing into the pilot's chair, exhausted but relieved that the mission was nearly complete. The flight. Unexpected sabotage. As the Foxhound lifted off, Caleb set a course for the nearest Zindi military outpost. He was unaware that Real had managed to free herself from her restraints using a concealed explosive. The ship shuddered as a hull breach alarm blared. Caleb rushed to the cargo hold, finding a gaping hole and Real attempting to tear open an access panel. They clashed once more, the battle fierce and desperate. Caleb managed to repel her attack, but not without sustaining further injuries. The critical repair. Real's sabotage had damaged the ship's systems critically. Caleb, struggling with pain and fatigue, fought to stabilize the Foxhound. To his surprise, Real assisted him, her expertise in ship systems proving invaluable. Together, they managed to prevent the ship from breaking apart. This unexpected cooperation left Caleb bewildered and suspicious. Rael, who had been his enemy moments ago, was now helping him save the ship. It was a surreal turn of events that made him question her motives. An uneasy truce. With the immediate danger averted, Caleb secured Rael once again, this time with reinforced restraints. He couldn't trust her, but he couldn't deny the fact that she had just saved both their lives. The rest of the journey was tense and silent, each of them nursing their wounds and lost in their thoughts. Caleb couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Rael's story than he had been told. The rendezvous. Arrival at the outpost. The Foxhound arrived at the Zindi military outpost, the massive warship looming ahead. Caleb contacted the outpost, informing them of his arrival and the successful capture of Rael. The outpost's commander, a stern and unforgiving figure, demanded Rael's immediate surrender. Caleb felt a pang of uncertainty as he prepared to hand her over, the recent events making him question the morality of his mission. Rael's decision. Before Caleb could process his thoughts, Rael made a decision. She stepped forward, expressing her gratitude to Caleb with a brief but meaningful kiss. Then, with a calm resolve, she surrendered to the Zindi soldiers. Caleb watched as she was led away, the weight of their brief but intense connection heavy on his heart. The credits from the bounty transfer felt hollow as he realized that capturing Rael had left him with more questions than answers. The aftermath. A life changed. Caleb tried to move on, but the memories of Rael haunted him. He drifted from station to station, unable to escape the ghost of their encounter. News of Rael's impending execution was a constant reminder of the choices he had made. He found himself in a bar, trying to drown his sorrows as he watched the news coverage of her final moments. The execution, swift and merciless, left him feeling empty and broken. A lost purpose. With no missions left and a heart full of regret, Caleb's life spiraled into a cycle of aimless wandering. He avoided bounties, unable to bring himself to capture another life. The wealth he had earned felt like a burden, a constant reminder of what he had lost. The days blurred together, each one a monotonous repeat of the last. The vibrant energy that had once driven him was gone, replaced by a hollow void. The revelation. A new mission. One day, a message arrived that reignited a spark within Caleb. It was from an anonymous source, providing evidence that Rael's actions had been part of a larger plan to expose corruption within the Zindi government. The message claimed that Rael had been framed, and that her execution was a cover-up. Caleb, driven by a need for redemption and answers, decided to investigate. He couldn't change the past, but he could seek justice for Rael and uncover the truth. The journey begins. Caleb set off on a new mission, this time driven by a sense of purpose and a desire to right the wrongs he had been part of. He traveled across the galaxy, gathering information and allies. The journey was perilous, filled with obstacles and dangers. But Caleb was determined, fueled by the memory of Rael and the connection they had shared. As he delved deeper into the conspiracy, he realized that the stakes were higher than he had ever imagined. The final confrontation. Unveiling the truth. Caleb's investigation led him to the heart of the Zindi government's corruption. He uncovered evidence of their betrayal and manipulation, exposing the truth to the galaxy. The revelation shook the foundations of the Zindi regime, sparking a movement for justice and reform. Caleb's actions inspired others to stand up against the corrupt system, and he found himself at the forefront of a growing rebellion. Honoring Rael's memory. In the end, Caleb's journey brought him back to the place where it all began. He stood before a memorial dedicated to Rael, her face etched in stone as a symbol of resistance and sacrifice. Caleb felt a sense of closure, knowing that he had done everything in his power to honor her memory and seek justice. The galaxy was changing, and he had played a part in that transformation. As he looked up at the stars, Caleb felt a renewed sense of purpose and hope for the future. The rebirth. A new purpose. Caleb felt the weight of his past lift slightly as he stood before Riel's memorial. Her face, etched in stone, seemed to watch over him with a sense of silent approval. His mission to honor her memory and expose the Xindi government's corruption had given him a renewed sense of purpose. The galaxy was changing, and he knew his role in it was far from over. He decided to dedicate himself to helping those oppressed by tyrannical regimes, using his skills and knowledge to make a difference. Building an alliance, Caleb began to gather like-minded individuals who had also been wronged by the Xindi and other oppressive forces. He reached out to former comrades, freedom fighters, and anyone willing to stand up against injustice. Together, they formed a coalition dedicated to fighting corruption and protecting the innocent. The group, named the Liberators, quickly gained traction, attracting members from various planets and species. The Liberators' first mission. The Liberators' first mission was to liberate a small colony that had been taken over by a ruthless warlord. Caleb led the charge, his experience and determination guiding the team. The battle was intense, but the Liberators emerged victorious, freeing the colony's inhabitants and providing them with the resources needed to rebuild. The success of the mission bolstered the group's morale and solidified their resolve to continue their fight for justice. The growing threat, an unexpected ally. As the Liberators continued their campaigns, they encountered a mysterious figure named Lyora. She was a former Xindi operative who had defected after learning the truth about her government's corruption. Lyora brought valuable information and skills to the table, quickly becoming a trusted member of the team. Her insider knowledge of the Xindi's operations proved invaluable in planning their next moves. The Xindi's counterattack. The Xindi government, now aware of the Liberators' growing influence, launched a series of attacks to quash the rebellion. They targeted the Liberators' bases and supporters, hoping to dismantle the movement before it could gain more momentum. Caleb and his team faced numerous challenges, but their determination and unity kept them going. They fought back with everything they had, determined to protect the innocent and expose the Xindi's atrocities. A personal revelation. During one of their missions, Caleb discovered a hidden cache of documents detailing Riel's true motives and the extent of the Xindi's corruption. The documents revealed that Riel had been working to expose the Xindi's crimes all along, using her position as an assassin to gather evidence. Caleb was overwhelmed with emotions, realizing that Riel had been a hero in her own right. This revelation strengthened his resolve to continue their fight and honor her legacy. The turning point. A bold plan. With the new information, Caleb and the Liberators devised a bold plan to strike at the heart of the Xindi government. They aimed to infiltrate the Xindi's central command and expose the evidence of their corruption to the galaxy. The mission was risky, but the potential impact was too significant to ignore. Caleb knew that this could be their chance to turn the tide and inspire a galaxy-wide uprising against tyranny. The infiltration. The Liberators launched their operation, using Lyora's insider knowledge to navigate the heavily fortified Xindi headquarters. The team moved with precision, overcoming obstacles and neutralizing threats along the way. Caleb led the charge, his mind focused on the mission and the memory of Riel guiding him. As they approached the central command, the tension was palpable, but their determination never wavered. Exposing the truth, Caleb and the Liberators successfully infiltrated the Xindi Central Command, broadcasting the evidence of the government's corruption and atrocities to the entire galaxy. The transmission reached millions, sparking outrage and calls for justice. The Xindi's control began to crumble as planets and systems joined the uprising. Caleb watched as the seeds of rebellion he had helped plant began to grow into a full-fledged revolution. The final battle, the Xindi's last stand. Desperate to maintain their grip on power, the Xindi government launched a final, all-out assault on the Liberators. The battle that ensued was fierce and brutal, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Caleb fought on the front lines, his determination unwavering. The Liberators, fueled by the hope of a better future, pushed back against the Xindi forces with everything they had. A hero's sacrifice. In the heat of battle, Caleb found himself face to face with the Xindi commander who had ordered Real's execution. The fight was intense, each blow fueled by years of anger and loss. Caleb emerged victorious, but not without sustaining severe injuries. As he lay on the battlefield, his life slipping away, he thought of Real and the legacy they had built together. He had fulfilled his promise to her, and now it was time for the galaxy to continue the fight. Victory and remembrance. The liberators emerged victorious, the Xindi government defeated and their corruption exposed for all to see. The galaxy began to rebuild, inspired by the bravery and sacrifice of Caleb and the liberators. Monuments were erected in their honor, and Real's name was cleared, her legacy as a hero cemented in history. The galaxy would never forget the sacrifices made in the name of justice and freedom. A new dawn. Rebuilding the galaxy. With the Xindi government dismantled, the galaxy began a period of reconstruction and healing. The liberators played a crucial role in helping planets recover and establish fair and just governments. Caleb's legacy lived on through the continued efforts of the liberators, who dedicated themselves to maintaining peace and justice across the stars. A lasting legacy. Caleb's name became synonymous with bravery and determination, his story inspiring countless individuals to stand up against oppression. The liberators grew in number and influence, their mission evolving to include not only fighting tyranny, but also promoting unity and cooperation among the galaxy's diverse inhabitants. Caleb's dream of a better, more just galaxy was becoming a reality. A final reflection. Years later, a memorial was erected in honor of Caleb Richardson and Real, celebrating their contributions to the galaxy's liberation. The memorial stood as a symbol of hope and resilience, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is always a chance for redemption and change. As the stars wheeled overhead, the memory of Caleb and Real lived on, their spirits intertwined in the fabric of the galaxy they had fought so hard to save. Caleb's journey had come to an end, but his legacy continued to shine, a beacon of hope for future generations. The galaxy had been forever changed by his actions, and the story of the lonely alien who found love with a human would be told for centuries to come, a testament to the power of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond between two souls who dared to dream of a better world. Seeds of hope. The next generation. Years had passed since the fall of the Xindi government, and the galaxy had entered an era of unprecedented peace and cooperation. The liberators had become a symbol of unity, their ranks filled with individuals from all corners of the galaxy. Among them was a new generation, inspired by the stories of Caleb and Real, eager to continue their legacy. A new leader. One of the rising stars within the liberators was Elijah, a young woman whose parents had been freed from Xindi oppression by Caleb himself. Elijah had grown up hearing tales of his bravery and Real's sacrifice, and she had dedicated her life to the cause. Her leadership and determination quickly earned her the respect and admiration of her peers. The hidden threat. Despite the peace, a new threat loomed on the horizon. A shadowy organization known as the Obsidian Hand, composed of former Xindi loyalists and other malcontents, had begun to stir unrest. Their goal was to reclaim power and plunge the galaxy back into chaos. Elijah and the liberators found themselves facing a new challenge, one that threatened to undo all the progress that had been made. The gathering storm. Uncovering the conspiracy. Elijah and her team embarked on a mission to uncover the extent of the Obsidian Hand's influence. They traveled to the far reaches of the galaxy, gathering intelligence and forging alliances with those who had once been enemies. The information they uncovered was chilling. The Obsidian Hand had infiltrated key positions in several governments and was planning a coordinated attack. Rallying the forces, Elijah knew that they needed to act quickly. She called for a meeting of the Liberators' leadership, presenting the evidence and urging them to prepare for the coming conflict. The response was immediate and unanimous. The Liberators would stand against the Obsidian Hand, just as they had against the Xindi. The battle begins. The first skirmishes erupted on the outskirts of the galaxy as the Obsidian Hand launched surprise attacks on vulnerable colonies. Elysia led the Liberators in a series of counteroffensives, using their superior knowledge and tactics to push back the invaders. The battles were fierce, but the Liberators' resolve never wavered. The Heart of Darkness. The final assault. Elysia and her team discovered the location of the Obsidian Hand's main base, hidden deep within an uncharted nebula. The decision was made to launch a full-scale assault, hoping to cut off the head of the snake and end the threat once and for all. The Liberators' fleet assembled, ready to face their greatest challenge yet, a personal struggle. As they prepared for the battle, Elysia couldn't help but feel the weight of her parents' legacy. She wondered if she could live up to their example, if she could lead the Liberators to victory as Caleb had done. Her doubts were put to the test as the fleet entered the nebula, the swirling gases and unpredictable currents making navigation treacherous. The climax. The Liberators' fleet engaged the Obsidian Hand's defenses in a spectacular display of firepower and strategy. Elysia led the charge, her determination and skill shining through. As the battle raged, she found herself face to face with the Obsidian Hand's leader, a cunning and ruthless adversary. The duel was intense, but Elysia's training and resolve carried her through. With a final, decisive strike, she defeated the leader, dealing a crippling blow to the Obsidian Hand. A new dawn, victory, and rebuilding. The defeat of the Obsidian Hand marked a turning point for the galaxy. The remnants of the organization were hunted down and dismantled, their influence eradicated. Elysia and the Liberators turned their attention to rebuilding, helping the affected colonies recover and ensuring that such a threat could never rise again. Honoring the past. A grand ceremony was held to honor the sacrifices and achievements of the Liberators. Monuments were erected, not only to Caleb and Riel, but to all those who had fought and fallen in the name of freedom. Elysia stood at the forefront, her heart swelling with pride as she looked out over the gathered crowd. The legacy continues. Elysia's leadership marked the beginning of a new chapter for the Liberators. They continue to stand as guardians of peace and justice, ever vigilant against the forces of tyranny. The stories of Caleb, Riel, and now Elysia inspired generations to come, reminding them that even in the darkest times, there is always hope. Reflections and resolutions. Elysia's journey. As the years passed, Elysia reflected on her journey and the legacy she had inherited. She visited the memorials, paying her respects to those who had paved the way for her. Each visit filled her with a renewed sense of purpose, a reminder of the responsibility she carried. The galaxy united. Under the guidance of the Liberators, the galaxy flourished. Alliances were strengthened, and cooperation became the norm. The lessons learned from the struggles against the Xindi and the Obsidian Hand forged a new understanding among the diverse inhabitants of the galaxy. They realized that their strength lay in their unity, and they were determined to protect it at all costs. A message of hope. Elysia's story, like those of Caleb and Riel, became a beacon of hope. It was a testament to the power of resilience, courage, and love. The galaxy learned that no matter how dark the times might seem, there is always a light that can guide them through. The Liberators' message spread far and wide, inspiring countless individuals to stand up for what is right and just. The future awaits. Passing the torch. As Elysia grew older, she began to train the next generation of Liberators. She saw the same spark of determination and passion in their eyes that had driven her and those who came before her. She knew that the future of the galaxy was in good hands. The never-ending story. The tale of Caleb, Riel, and Elysia became a never-ending story, passed down from one generation to the next. It was a story of love and loss, of sacrifice and triumph, and of the unbreakable spirit that binds all sentient beings together. As long as the story was told, the legacy of the Liberators would live on, a reminder that even the smallest acts of courage can change the course of history. Embracing the unknown. Elysia stood on the bridge of the Liberators' flagship, gazing out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and filled with endless possibilities. There would always be new challenges to face, new adventures to undertake, and new stories to be written. With a smile, she turned to her crew, ready to face whatever the future might bring. The journey of the Liberators was far from over, and together they would continue to explore the limitless potential of the cosmos.